All right, so this is a state conference, or sorry, ward conference review video. I've been thinking about this, and I'm sorry if the stake is going to see this and be offended by it, but I'm trying to help. So, ward conference happens. The bishopric typically speaks in sacrament meeting, and then the stake takes over, whether it's the stake speaking in sacrament meeting or the stake taking control of the second hour, what used to be third hour stuff. And it's a lot different than state conferences and general conferences. State conference, the whole state gets together just for that specific reason, and the stake leadership addresses the stake. General conference, same thing. The whole church gets together, and general leadership addresses the whole church. Ward conference is different because basically it's the same group that's meeting every week. They're just meeting for Sunday meetings. But the people that are different are the stake showing up. And so you'd think that they would have a message that would be specific for the unit. At least that's what I would think. They would be specific for the unit. And my experience is that that's not true. And this one held true to that pretty well, where it was a cookie cutter lesson. Good lesson. I enjoyed the lesson. I thought it was great. But I thought it was pretty cookie cutter. And I'll get to that. But I was thinking about why we do ward conferences. It's for the sustainings. That's a big part of it. And then I was thinking, well, you can do the sustainings and you can have the bishopric speak, but why take over the second hour? And the reason I've been thinking about this lately is because the elders quorum lessons to me are very valuable and important. That's sacred time. And lately we haven't gotten a lot of that time because of Easter, general conference, state conference, and now ward conference. And we just, for a while, it was like 6 weeks straight that we didn't have elders quorum lesson, and it was really bothering me because I was missing it. And then the ward conference was just one more where I was going to miss out on elders quorum. And so I was kind of annoyed by that. Chose to be annoyed. My apologies. And I kept thinking, why does the stake do that? So one of the things that I learned from asking around to a few people was that I realized that the main reason why the stake does that is to give the ward a break. And I actually heard ward members say that. Well, the great thing about ward conference is that it's the day off. I get that. Fine. I'm not really in that boat, but I get that. That's fine. I could see that more so in primary, but even when I was in primary, I did not appreciate it. At the very least, I think that the stake could ask the auxiliaries if they would want them to take over the lesson. So I wish there was a better setup there because getting a day off me is crazy because we just don't have very much time. We don't have very many Sundays. We don't have very much time on Sundays to talk, be with each other, which is a whole another issue, trying to solve that outside of church during the week, whatever. So that's one thing, is trying to understand if that's the right approach, whether or not it has to be like that or should be like that. The second thing is when the stake does take over, those lessons have to be so good in my book. Otherwise, I would rather just have the auxiliaries do what they normally would do because that is super valuable. So what we had this time is the stake came in and gave a lesson during elders quorum, and it was very cookie cutter, very kind of old school traditional fifth Sunday feel type of lesson, little projector and some slides, and they had a little cycle of conversion that they're working on, and it was all good, but they kept saying things like, oh, this isn't even our presentation or our idea or our lesson. We actually got this from somebody else. One of the 70s taught us about this, and I thought it was really good, so I bring it to you guys. And this is now our ninth time doing this, our ninth unit. And so it's been interesting to see some of the other, how everybody takes things differently. So they're literally telling us that they've put very little effort into the lesson. Not effort in terms of prayer, fast, like I get that. I'm saying very little effort, meaning this is not specific for my ward. I will take it as specific for me and I will apply it to me. And like I said, I thought it was a great lesson. It reminded me a lot of a lesson that I got on my mission and I really enjoyed it. But it was not specific for the ward. It was not specific to ward members. It was not like the bishop or elders quorum president went to the stake and was like, hey, we're struggling with this. Could you please, when you come, could you address this? Could you help us with this? It was obviously not one of those, which I think is a waste. I think it's unfortunate. And so that would be my concern, is that there's a really good opportunity and then it just falls flat. Maybe not falls flat, but it doesn't quite reach its potential. So anyway, thoughts, comments, appreciate it. See you guys.